I got to be honest with you. I'm a little nervous. Our guest, Talia von Oelhoffen, stud player for Oregon State women's basketball, is hopping on with us. And I'm nervous because the last time I had a player on from this team, I was pretty jacked. Me and my family went to the UCLA game. But the last player I had on was Reagan Beers. She was jacked for those games against UCLA and USC. We were 4 rows behind the hoop where it happened. My 7-year-old watched an elbow land on Reagan Beers' nose, broke her nose, and I felt just, I don't know why, I felt responsible. So, Talia, I'm a little nervous here that you coming on the show might be a bad omen, but you guys did end up winning the game, thanks in large part to your shot-making abilities in the final 4 seconds.
Yeah. Hopefully everything goes well this weekend. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How's the season going for you?
It's been really fun. We got a great group, and we've done some pretty cool things so far. So just looking forward to finishing up the Pac-12 this weekend and then heading to the tournament.
What have you learned? You've been in Oregon State. What have you learned from when you got there to this point? This season's long. You guys start basketball in like late October. You get games going in November and December, and now it's almost March. The mental side of going through a season, you've learned what about that so far in your career?
Yeah, it's a really long season. I mean, we have one of the longest seasons in all sports. So what we have to do is not easy. So I think just coming in every day with the right mindset and talking to yourself and just finding all the little things that work for you and allow you to be at your best every day and stay consistent. I wouldn't say it's any one thing, just figuring out how to stay consistent in your mindset and leadership and how you're approaching every day. I think is the key part.
Well, Reagan does pottery. I think your guys' day off, if I have this wrong, then correct me, but I think Reagan told me she does pottery on Mondays. What do you do on your day off to mentally get away and unplug from it for just a few hours a week?
Yeah, I have a couple of my best friends. One's our manager, and then one's just a regular student at Oregon State. So I hang out with them a lot just to kind of get away from basketball and all of that. So it's definitely good to have people or things outside of sport that you can kind of use to escape for that day. But yeah, usually just hanging out with them, doing different things.
Talia von Oelhoffen, our guest here. Oregon State has Stanford coming to town. Now, you guys, you played them a few weeks ago, and obviously that didn't go your way. And I know this might sound like a dumb question. If it is, throw it right back at me. But you lose. Obviously, you don't want to lose, and it just so happens to be the game that their coach sets the all-time wins record, like weirdly attached to history in a way that you don't want to be.
Yeah, I think playing at Stanford, regardless of the situation, is really tough. And then you add, the weight of that game and what it meant for history and how bad, their team wanted that win. And it made it pretty tough for us. Their point guard played a great game. One of their bigs had a career night, which is what it took to beat us. So they definitely just outplayed us that game. But I think we came back learning from it and had a few weaknesses exposed early in the season that we were able to address, and I think it only made us better. So I'm excited for the second go around.
I said we were at that UCLA game, and I said on the show that it's probably one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in Gill Coliseum. To have 4 lead changes in the final 8 seconds of a game like that, and I know that was a couple weeks ago for you at this point, and you've moved on, but to have a moment like that. Not every player gets even one of those ever in a college career. You had USC a couple days later, and that was your guys' first game really without Reagan for the full thing. But, how long do you kind of sit in what that moment was for you against UCLA?
I think I took that night for sure to kind of relish in it. But then, like you said, we had USC coming in Sunday, and in this conference, you can't relax, you can't blink. So it was kind of on to the next, but it was definitely super cool to have a moment like that in a packed Gill. It was surreal, and obviously looking back at the last couple minutes, it was, one of the most insane basketball games ever. So it was definitely cool to be a part of that and to see all the recaps of it and all the videos and the reactions, I think were my favorite part. So that was really cool. And it doesn't hold as much weight as maybe people think, just that one game, but it's definitely going to be something that's cool to look back on in the future.
Talia von Oelhoffen, our guest here, Oregon State, getting ready for Stanford tomorrow. Big game for them as they fell to Stanford on the farm a couple weeks ago, looking for some payback. Now, you guys have been out one of your best players. What have you noticed about your team? I know you guys have lost 2 of your last 3 here. To me, has played pretty well. What have you noticed, though, about your team and areas that you guys are looking to shore up? I don't know if Reagan's going to play. I guess I could ask you that, too, if you know she's going to play against Stanford or where she's at timeline-wise. But what have you learned about your team just in the last 3 games, having to kind of play without somebody like that?
Yeah, we're hopeful that she can play this weekend. Not 100% sure. But I think, it's definitely been a learning experience. I think that first game without her, we got killed on the board, so that was something we had to adjust to. And then we went to Pullman and did great rebounding. So I think it's helping us clean up some weaknesses, and we're only going to be stronger when she gets back. But just been working on, screens. Reagan's a great screener, so that's something we've kind of had to adjust to. And obviously she can get really deep positions. So just countering, not having her presence in there has been a challenge, but I think it's only going to be good for us in the end, and we're growing every day in those areas. So hope to have her back soon, but I think it's only going to benefit us once we have her back.
Who do you hear more from about maybe a game that you play or a season and the way it's going? Who do you hear more from, your sisters, your mom, or your dad? Because you have quite the athletic pedigree background in your family. I'm curious, who's the one chiming in the most, texting you the most, maybe calling you to talk about something they saw that you did or didn't do? Who is it in your family the most that's talking to you about the way things are going in your season?
I would say probably my mom, but I think overall at this point they're kind of more just fans and supporters, and don't talk too much about the X's and O's and all of that. Kind of just in my corner whenever I need them, I would say, but it's probably my mom I talk to the most.
And what does she tell you when she watches you play?
It depends on the game. I think it's definitely less critical than growing up and in high school. I think she's kind of taken a step back at this point, and it's more just positive and encouraging. And she comes to all the games, so she loves it and loves to watch. And my grandparents come too, so it's just really cool to always have them there.
Women's basketball having a moment right now. The game is growing a lot. The tournament, we got a tournament up here in Portland this year. You guys have a great resume. I don't know how all that stuff's going to shake out, where you're going to go. You still have a conference tournament. You still have some games in the regular season, so I don't want to get too far ahead, but it feels like the anticipation of women's basketball, college basketball this year, the fervor's never been higher. You got great players that get a lot of notoriety, and then you have great teams like you guys who are just tough. You're pretty complete. Your perimeter game's locked down. If Reagan comes back, you got it locked down on the inside. Just how you're feeling about where college basketball is for women and the excitement of the tournament that's looming now that the month of March is right around the corner.
Yeah, it's super cool to see, and I think there's been more parity this year than ever. So super good for the game, for sure. But I think it's nothing new. I think we've just turned more heads, and social media has helped the game grow. But it's the same thing that it always has been. So I'm happy that people are taking notice, and we'll continue to give them something to watch, give them something entertaining.
I would be an idiot if I didn't ask you this before I let you go, Talia, because I appreciate the time. I know it's really early. Maybe not so much for you, but a lot of your teammates would probably say this is a bit early to be talking about anything. We're trying to currently buy your jersey, and last we checked, they were sold out online. We can only find shirts. Who do I need to talk to get you to talk to somebody to restock the jersey? We want a von Oelhoffen jersey in our house. We can't find one right now.
That's a good question. I don't know. I know they got the shirts with my jersey on them. I honestly don't even have one. I've never seen a jersey of mine for sale, so I'm not sure who to talk to about that. But we definitely need to get you one.
It's NIL. This is NIL period. This is time for you to go talk to somebody like, yo, get this money right. What are we doing here?
I don't know. I'm locked in. Maybe in the off season I'll deal with that.
All right. Well, good luck against Stanford, and thanks for hopping on with us this morning. We appreciate the time. Good luck the rest of the way, and we look forward to seeing if you guys turn this around a little bit. I know you guys are on a skid, but you're a great team, and I'm sure you'll do well. So thanks for hopping on with us this morning.
All right. Thank you. Yep. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. There we go. Talia von Oelhoffen, Oregon State women's basketball. I would categorize her as probably pissed right now. They've lost 2 of 3, but they also haven't had their best post player. She's been knocked out with a broken nose. Tamia Gardner's been really good for him, but Stanford comes to town. It's always a massive game given Stanford and all of their history.
This is definitely the time to start to, if you're not quite the, college basketball fan, like normally, get into it now.
This is when you dive in,
This is
right?
when you got to get into it. So this
Can
is
they take down Cameron Brink, who's from Oregon?
Well, I've said this before, and I'm like legitimately serious here. The women's tournament is going to be better than the men's.
The
I think I agree.
women's basketball has more household brand names.
It's got
than
more
men's
juice.
basketball.
Yes, the men are one and dones. Sometimes they're players that just don't really care to do all that much.
The women tend to when they do transfer, they tend to stay put where they transfer. It's not constant revolving doors.
Yes.
They're able to build some brands.